Hello, it's Aisling here from the Institute of Empowered Psychology. I'm delighted that you've tuned in to be with us today because it's very exciting. My business partner, Fran, Harper, and I are here to introduce ourselves to you, to give you a bit of an insight to our backgrounds and the background behind our inspiration behind creating the Institute of Empowered Psychology. So me personally, I have come immediately out of a very successful sales career and a career as a corporate professional at the height of my industry. But it wasn't everything that it was supposed to be, everything that it was written on paper. Unfortunately, I found NLP and it changed my life. It created options. It created a new way to think about things, a new way to look at the world. So when I met this wonderful woman beside me, Fran, she had, we found so many similarities, I guess. And as you listen to our conversation, you will understand why. We put everything together and we've decided to join forces as professional, strong, driven, passionate women who are focused on helping other people to remove themselves from that corporate burnout, to create a new career for themselves. And as two professional women who've been in those situations, we know what you're going through and we know what people can feel. And we know that we can give people the best possible help. But we're going to interview each other so that you can have a better insight into who exactly we are. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce you to this wonderful woman, Fran Harper. Fran, how are you? And let's begin by telling us a little bit about your background.
Okay, thank you, Ashley. So my background, I trained originally as a teacher back in the UK, and then joined a family business. So I grew up in the seafood industry and had many years in that, going through all areas of the family business. I'm forever grateful to my father for ensuring that we had a very rounded understanding of all parts of a business, from a balance sheet to profit and loss to manufacturing, right the way through to sales, and really looking after the customer service. So I've been in sales as well for many years, and recently, actually not recently, about over the last 10 years, started building for our family business back in the UK a global reach. So we started in Australia and set up our Australian sales for vegetarian and vegan products, and then went into Far East Asia, so Taiwan, Korea, Japan, and then back into New Zealand, and across Europe. So we've had a tremendous, and Dubai and the Emirates. So we've had an incredible career in sort of setting up businesses across those regions. And then, like you, I found NLP. And originally I was looking at NLP to be able to communicate better with my team, because they were across the world. And I was dealing with not just Aussies, but also the UK, which is very different. And I wasn't getting the communication results that I wanted. And I actually can't remember, I was standing in the shower this morning thinking, who was it that actually said to me, communication is the response that you get? And I actually can't remember. I hope it will come back, because that was actually the start of my NLP journey. I started then to look at, well, if communication's my responsibility, wow, that's a big thing, isn't it? And if I'm not getting what I want from my teams, then how can I do that? So that's when I signed up for, first of all, the NLP prac, and it just blew me away, the different perspectives. And I thought, I didn't think at that point that this would be something that would take me into a career. But after the first 8 days, it was like, wow, this is just where I'm meant to be. I'm meant to be sharing everything I've learned over the last 35 years, I'm meant to be sharing that with people that haven't had the background or the, you know, the confidence or the expertise that sort of I've amassed along the way. I need to be sharing that. And that's really where my passion for it has grown. And every day that has gone, that I've gone through that, and every new thing that I've learned has just, for me, been just so empowering.
Wow.
So here we are.
That's quite a
Here
story.
we are.
I love hearing about that. I guess, what was the big decision for you? Like, what was your greatest takeaway that you could bring to your life personally? Obviously, you took a lot from studying NLP into the world of business and applying it to your role as a director of your company. But in like personally, in your relationships, etc., with your family, how also like did NLP impact you in other ways?
How long have we got, Ash? I think the main thing for me was really about taking complete responsibility, that nobody can do anything to you, that it is actually your choice, and you can choose to react to anything that happens in your life. And that for me was something that really just gave me freedom, because I no longer wanted to react to sort of external things that were going on. Of course, they're still there and things are, but it made me consciously aware of how I was reacting, what I was reacting to, and to be able to put all those processes in place to remove the things that weren't serving me. And that for me has, I mean, I've had a blessed career. I've had a very driven and passionate career, but this has allowed me to really just step to the next level and really be in control of what I'm doing and who I engage with, who I work with. And I think that was really, Ash, when you and I met. I think we kind of knew straight away that there was a connection, that we could very happily feed back to each other, and that those things were just going to make us more and more powerful. And I think and to get our message out there and be able to share with other people the information that has changed our lives. So yeah.
I totally agree, Fran. It's funny. I feel sometimes like we're the same person, just a couple of years apart. Like, it's really phenomenal. Well, I think that's the beauty of what we bring to the Institute of Empowered Psychology together is our collective experiences, while they're similar but different. And obviously you have amazing accolades to your name and in your background in building international businesses. It's we're both very widely traveled and have worked across the world and have worked in many cultures, have had to create different shifts, and the communication side of things, as you mentioned, I believe is the key. It's the key to everything in your life.
Agreed.
Your ability to communicate and your ability to understand people and to understand how they're communicating with you. In studying NLP, exactly the same as you. I only it's my NLP story is a little bit, it's quite funny. I have been on a journey of coaching for about 5-6 years, and I've been on the mailing list for the NLP company that we've both studied with for 4 years. I'm wondering, oh yes, so I really want to study this, and I will do it soon, but everything kind of came up. I never was able to just make a decision and go with it, because I had stuff to deal with and I couldn't take time off work to study, and I was always making an excuse. And one of the greatest, most liberating things for me with NLP was when I walked into the room, I was full of excuses. I was completely at the effect of the world, that the world. And my whole life shifted amidst
Yeah.
the COVID crisis. Everything changed. And
Yeah.
I'm so grateful for NLP for that, and for the opportunity to just, I would have thought, because I had spent many years studying personal development, that I was quite that I thought about things quite broadly, but nothing I think can prepare you for what you can experience and learn through studying NLP. Would you agree?
Mm. Yeah, totally. And I think it's, you know, the things that you just learn how much you don't know. And, you know, with all the skills that you do know, adding sort of the NLP techniques and things into it, as you said about no longer being at the effect of anything.
Yeah.
That's an incredible place to be, because then you start to make decisions which are completely congruent with who you are. And I know from I have 5 children, and I've always run a business, and my husband also had a building company, so I would run his contract law and his business side of things. So my life was mental, absolutely crazy. My baby now is 21. So I think for me, I suddenly had this space. So having had 5 children and all these businesses are still going, but I no longer have the children. I don't have the 4:30 swimming in the morning. I don't have, taking them to wherever it is, ferrying them around and things. They're adults now and they're doing their own thing. So I suddenly found this space and started reading, started doing all of that. And it was really, from there that sort of I was ready to grow. I was ready to grow, but it took me a long time to. I think one of the first things that was asked was, what do you really want? I couldn't answer that. I could not answer that. It was, well, I have to, I do this or I do that. I said, no. What do you want? And I couldn't answer it. My life was tied to duty, to the responsibility of everything that was so scheduled and everything that was so demanding, I suppose. And when I shifted my focus through NLP and through looking at different perspectives and only focusing on the things that you really need in order to move forward to where you want to be. Because if you've never actually looked at where you want to be, as the Cheshire Cat says to Alice, which road should I take? Where do you want to go? I don't know. Well, then it doesn't matter which road you take. But when you become focused, then that is just so empowering, because then you know where you're going every day, those steps that you need to take, and it's completely congruent with who you are. So that, I think, would you agree with that, Ash? Have you found?
Completely. Yeah, totally, Fran. It's so, I suppose it just gives you that drive and the vision. We're both driven women, correct. We're both very ambitious. But it's putting that together with these skill sets, because we know that the world, and forgive me if I'm speaking out of turn, but I think that we know that more people can benefit from this. It's looking at ourselves 5 years ago, 2 years ago, a year ago, and thinking, you need this. You need this in your life, because this, whether you take the skills that you learn from NLP and you apply it to your relationships, to your family, to your work, or to create a new business. It's something that's so completely invaluable and transferable.
Totally.
It can go across
and I like. Yeah, sorry, Ash. I really like the point that you just made, in that, sort of NLP allows you to transfer the skills, of where you were and where I was 3 or 4 years ago. And that journey, even just looking at core values, just looking at the things that we do unconsciously and making us consciously aware of them. I mean, I know for certain that there are so many people within my network and within that could that probably wouldn't have the confidence initially to actually even know what their skills are, know what their genius zones are. But through NLP, they would actually, that would be pulled out, and they would understand that how valuable each and every one of us is. And, and I think also how important self-education is now. And, and everyone has an opportunity to use their, whether it's stamp collecting and you're the best stamp collector, or whether it's, dog walking or dog training, or whether it's sales, business selling or negotiation processes, all those things that we do every day in life, taking those through the NLP processes and packaging them gives everybody an opportunity to run a business. And certainly from a COVID point of view, where life became incredibly uncertain overnight, the flexibility of being able to deal, we have a manufacturing business in the UK, and we've had to deal with some pretty tough things over the last 6 months. And when Australia came online, the UK went back into lockdown, and all those things, balancing those things and keeping everything buoyant, there's a lot of information that has to be dealt with there. And for certain, NLP has allowed me to take that very much in my stride, look at the things that were needed on a very specific and critical pathway, which we did. But I think this has allowed me to go through that process without the emotion, and to also have the capacity to do other things. So that's been
I love that. It reminds me of one of the key principles of NLP, that the person with the most behavioral flexibility wins, and that is so true for now, for COVID. Like I know that my story, but I will share it. Like, so I went. I was in a very high-powered sales position, and I was doing very, very well in my role. But in the middle of my practitioner training, I was made redundant because COVID had hit, and our company globally, the company that I was working for, went into receivership. So they were making cuts everywhere. So even though I was a great salesperson, it didn't save me enough to stay in the company, because there were hundreds of people cut all over the world, or thousands of people cut all over the world. So I was in a bit of shock, but then I was in the midst of this learning environment that was so that I was being pulled, from one side to the other. I had gone to this training to, number one, to become a better salesperson. I knew I was great, but I wanted to be even better. I wanted to become a better communicator, because I felt that there were definitely elements of my communication skills that I could, working with different personality types, those people in the office that sometimes you just can't get through to them, or there's just something that you don't get. So I was very tenacious in that. I want to get along with everybody, and I want to be able to communicate effectively with everybody, regardless of that. So I learned all of that in day one, through rapport and sensory
acuity,
and representation, like all of that stuff. So it was I was like, oh,
powerful stuff.
It's so funny.
Exactly. This has given me value, and then there was 7 more days.
That's right. One, and then I think it was day 3 or day 4 that I lost my job, and then I had to contemplate. It's like what you said. It's having that behavioral flexibility. I mean, like, right, I've wanted to set up my own business for as long as I remember. I've ran businesses before, but here in Australia, it's always been, because I've got a young family, it's always been secure to have a good a good job. So
of course,
it gave me the opportunity to go out on my own and do this. And then, of course, a couple of months later, I meet you, and we're on the same path. We've got the same passion. We've got the same fire in our belly, and we know the problems that people are facing. You know, we know what my problems were. We know what your problems were. We know that that is not just an individual's problems, because when you look at the wider scope of the world, your problem is really not that unique. Sure, it's not.
No, correct. That's absolutely true. I think wherever we are in the world, you know, I'm talking to customers still everywhere in Japan, in Taiwan, Korea. Everyone's faced with exactly the same uncertainty, and you know, and I guess that's one of the beautiful things of NLP, that uncertainty can either be something which creates fear, or it's something which creates growth, and it's used as a catalyst in order to develop that growth. You know, so I think we've definitely both got a lot to offer, and I'm very, very excited about our first course coming up on the 25th. Let's talk
about the Institute, Fran. Let's talk a little bit about, before we wrap up, let's give people a bit of an insight into what to expect, because we'll be going pretty hard come 2021. We're easing into it with our first practitioner course coming up on the 25th of November. But aside from that, what else should people expect to come from the Institute of Empowered Psychology?
Okay, well, I think we're obviously going to be we're going to be running our accredited courses, the NLP practitioner courses, NLP coaching, timeline therapy, and also hypnosis, and we'll also be looking at supporting anyone that comes through our courses to be able to help them to go through those first stages of actually using their coaching and their skills to be able to move forward into their own businesses. Because I think a lot of courses, you can do a lot of courses online or live, but then you're left with those skills and not necessarily understanding how to gain that momentum. And that is something that will be with you to so that you have the benefit of the skills that we already have. And you'll be able to talk to us on a weekly, daily basis, so that we can help you to move through those roadblocks, through any emotional limiting decisions or limiting beliefs, which we all have, all that fear, imposter syndrome, you know, everything else, all the other things that we can come up with, the excuses for not moving forward and actually doing what we want, you know, what we need to do and what we can do. So we'll be there to help everyone do that. Yeah. Is there anything I've missed there, Ash?
No, I'm so excited. I'm just so excited. And I suppose in addition to that, because it would be rude of us to forget where we've come from and to forget the corporate landia, because we both know how important it is to bring these skills into business and to help people apply, you know, communication skills in empowered understanding of your colleagues and of your workers and of your managers and of your teams. So we will be launching a corporate program into 2021 that we will be able to look at that. And of course, individual coaching. So we're going to be pretty busy next year, I would say.
We are indeed. We are indeed. I'm very much looking forward to it.
Well, it's been great. It's been great chatting together. And we really hope that you guys have a good understanding of who we are, what we have to offer, and how excited we are to get out there and share our passions with you.
Absolutely. Well said, Ash.